Hey everybody, welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. So it's the second Velocity Banking review for the day. And I was just going over video statistics and I noticed that one of the biggest view counts or the highest view counts for these Velocity Banking videos is about the credit card and the first lien HELOC. And I wrote here your 30% credit card will be a first lien HELOC. And a lot of people ended up watching it. So I think this is something that people are fascinated by because there are people out there on YouTube promoting the first lien HELOC. And I don't know anyone else who has kind of just done a comparison of a first lien HELOC and a 30% credit card. So if you don't know what a first lien HELOC is, let's just assume this that we have maybe like a $200,000 mortgage, okay? $200,000 mortgage at 4%. And then someone on the internet says, hey, you should replace this mortgage with a $200,000, maybe 8% or a 9% home equity line of credit. It just means that you replace your mortgage and then you're charged a 9% interest rate instead of 4. Now, the issue is that people don't understand that loans and lines of credit actually charge interest pretty much the same way. With a line of credit, it's based on what you call, excuse me, average daily balance, right? And in the loan, it's actually they charge it based on a statement balance usually, right? And these two, for the most part, are the same. So if you have a $200,000 4% mortgage, I probably would keep that mortgage instead of replacing it with a 9% line of credit. And I'm just going to go over what I call the worst case scenario, meaning let's say somebody gave you a 0% mortgage, okay? So I type in 0 here, the system will give me a payment, and all I gotta do is just place this in the Velocity Banking calculator. So let's say I do this 0% for 30 years, and then it's $555.56, so 505.56. And I've already pre-filled out this information. So what does this chunk mean? I'm only moving $6,000 into the line of credit, putting my paycheck in, taking my expenses out, and rinsing and repeating over and over again. In fact, if you look at this daily tab, you could kind of, if you scroll up, you could kind of see it right here. So $200,000 loan, $666 or $6,000 line of credit balance, and then you put your paycheck in. This is the payment, right? So paycheck, income, monthly interest, expenses out. So this calculator is very, very detailed, right? And it also knows this difference between replacing your mortgage. Because once you put in the entire amount into the line of credit, this payment should disappear. So let's go ahead and check. And I'm gonna just put this as a $200,000 amount. So it's like we replaced our mortgage. Bam, 44 grand. Okay, so if I take a look back here, um, let's say we had a loan balance of 200,000. We replaced it with the line of credit. Well, take a look here. All the payments disappeared. So the system is smart enough to know if you've done a first lane HELOC replacement or not. So what's my point? Okay, so let's say we did a $200,000 loan replacement of our mortgage, loan replacement of our mortgage, okay? If I just do, let's say, a $6,000 chunk and then I use the 8% line of credit, look how much I overpay by on that 0%. It's about 1,400. Now, if I do a 30% credit card, $6,000 chunk on a 30% credit card, I only overpay by 5 grand. Now, if I do a first lien HELOC, okay, 8% first lien HELOC, I overpay by 44 grand. Isn't that amazing? Like you actually overpay with the 8% HELOC, first lien HELOC, than a 30% credit card. I didn't even know that. Oh my goodness, right? And so that's why I always talk about this because this is a very fascinating subject. And people were like, I need a first lien HELOC. And I'm like, are you sure? Okay. Because even in a 0% credit card, it ain't gonna work. And let's say we do a 30%. Actually, 18, I think, is the maximum interest rate by law for HELOCs, but let's just do 18. Okay. You overpay by 178, and if I do 30%, which I don't think exists, you'll never pay it off, right? So it's amazing how if you do all these comparisons, like for example, I just do a $6,000 chunk, that's 5 grand, right? A $6,000 chunk, 30%, 5 grand. Yet I do an 8%, $200,000 $8,000 first lien HELOC replacement, I overpay, right? So you see how there's like a variable of factors that people aren't aware. So I always like to kind of talk about this, and I think all of you are fascinated by this too because you sure watched a lot of it. Okay, and I know there are some of you out there who actually got the first lien HELOC, and probably regret it because I had one gentleman actually put that as a comment. So let's go ahead and do this, and I'm going to erase this. So let's do another velocity banking review with the first lien HELOC. So I always like to deal with high dollar amounts just to kind of demonstrate my point because it's like a financial stress test. And so if I do this, right? So if I go down, take a look here, I have 10 credit cards, an auto loan, a student loan, and a $400,000 4% mortgage. Okay, $400,000 4% mortgage, and let's say we're strapped um, in cash because we only have $142 left in savings. What we're going to do, and let's just do this. I'll do a first lien replacement and a second lien HELOC, right? So first lien replacement HELOC means that there's no more mortgage, where second lien means we keep the mortgage. Okay, we keep the mortgage, but we just get another HELOC that's a little bit smaller in the amount. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the math. So let's go ahead and do this. So if we add up our debt, let's add up our debt. Okay, so it's 5, 8, 15, 27, 37, 10, 35. Whoopsie, 35, 12, 18, 25, 30, 400. And that's about it. So let's see how much debt we have. We have $622,000 of debt. Okay, now let's imagine that we have enough equity to get a $650,000 home equity line of credit. Excuse me, my alarm's going off. I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and do this again. So 650,000 home equity line of credit, and we replaced all of our debt. So that's 622,000, right? And we got all rid of it. Now, in the beginning, this might seem like a good idea, especially with maybe your credit cards, because these are high interest rate credit cards, 20 to 30%. So, and this might be like a lifesaver when it comes to the credit cards. But again, if you do it in pieces, pay off the debt in little pieces, it's actually more optimal when I've done these calculations, right? So we're just going to compare if we replace all of our debt at, we'll say 8%, right? 8% home equity line of credit. So everything, including the mortgage, which is at 4%. And I know some of you out there have really low interest rate mortgages and replaced it with the 8, 9, 10% line of credit. Ooh. And so let me go ahead and do this. And I don't mean to make like fun of you or anything. It's just that sometimes the internet just kind of spreads misinformation. Although I respect freedom of speech, but make sure that you do the math, whatever it is. And that's why I do these demonstrations with you all, right? So let's go ahead and do this and do what we call velocity banking. And so, what is velocity banking? It's dumping all of your money into debt with the help of a line of credit. But there are different ways to attack debt, even with my vague summary of what velocity banking is. So some people on the internet are saying, "Hey, dump all of your money, whether it's a credit card or a loan, into a line of credit, and let's just do the math." All right. So what happens is when we replace all of our debt with the line of credit, all of these will go to zero. Okay. So all of these will go to zero, except for our food, gas, insurance. That still stays at 3,000. And so look at this. It's like, whoa, we're at 142.99, and now we're at $8,200, which is pretty good. Now, and then the final step is that now we're going to make our line of credit as our main operating account. And what we're going to do is dump the entire $11,200 and then take out the $3,000 expenses every single month and figure out um, after every single month that it's the balance is going to go down by $8,200 plus some interest, right? And that's what's kind of missing with the first lien HELOC. When people like just talk about it, is you have to include the interest calculations. So when I talk about paying off debt, I show these goats here, but again, there's no greatest of all time when you're paying off debt, unfortunately. So I'm going to erase all of these goats. So no goats for the first lien HELOC. All right, so now let's go ahead and do this, and I am going to do the math, which is the previous month's balance, previous month's interest minus our cash flow, right? And so let's go ahead and do this. Take the average daily balance, all right, multiply it by the interest rate, which is 0.08 divided by 12. And look at that. Oh my goodness. So basically, 4 grand goes to interest, which is kind of a lot, right? So you don't have $8,200 of cash flow. You really got like, I don't know, 4,000 if you're real like and sometimes the reason I don't really include this number, well, I like to make it constant when it comes to debt, but if your interest cost is so high, then it makes no sense to use this. But let's go ahead and copy paste, and then we just rinse and repeat, and then wait for this all to go to zero, and then let me zoom out a little bit, zoom out, okay, zoom out, and then here, right here, 106 months, that's when everything's all paid. All right. So let's go ahead and calculate all this. And I'm going to sum it up. And this is going to be $242,000 of interest, right? So this middle column here, if I scroll out, is the interest that's been accruing. And so all you got to do is just sum it up, right? So I did sum it up and it took us 106 months, right? So let me go ahead and write that down. So 242K of interest and 106 months, right? So I'm going to copy that, and then we'll record it for our own purposes. Okay. So let's go ahead and do this. All right, so now we need a second lien heal. So we know that it's going to cost us this. It's going to take us about 106 months. And what's 106 divided by 12? About 8.83 years, which is respectable. But should we pay $242,000 of interest to deal with $622,000 of debt? Might not be the most optimal. So let's restart, okay? And do I have any more goats to deal with or not? If not, I need to get a goat emoji because that's what we're going to do when it comes to. Do I have any goat emojis available? Yeah, I got these goat emojis because that's what we need when we pay off our debt with the second lien HELOC, right? So let me go ahead and copy and paste. No goats here. No goats here because I've done this math before. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. And so instead of a $650,000 HELOC, okay, let's get a second lien HELOC, okay, in the equivalent of maybe a much smaller amount. So let me just do this. 5, 8, 15, 5, 8, 15, 27, 37, 10, 35, 12, 18, right? So let me go ahead and do that. $167,000 of credit card debt. So let me just do this and assume we have $175,000. And then what we do with the second lien HELOC, again, we're not, it's pretty much we're paying off debt in order, in a certain order, and we're not paying it all F1. We're not following the nonsense we hear on the internet that loan bad, line of credit good. The line of credit is like a bridge or a tool to help us pay it off and make it easier to dump all of our money into debt. Okay. So let's just do this. We're going to first move the credit cards. So I'm going to put CC right here as the first debt that we pay off, 167000. And then guess what happens here? This all goes to 0, 9, 10, right? 10 credit cards. And now let's go ahead and write this all down. So this is 100. So we're going to do this, get the next month's balance by the previous month's balance, previous month's interest, and then put our cash flow, 5488.82. And then our interest is the average of the two. Average daily balance multiplied by the interest rate and then divide by 12. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this. We're going to do the same thing, and then paycheck in, expenses out, paycheck in, expenses out, and then just kind of go down. And we see that in 34 months, it's all paid off. I can't believe it. Okay, so now let me figure out what the total interest that we pay is. So we just got to sum up this column. And so 19.5 grand. So let's just do this 19.5K interest at 34 months. All right. So we're going to go ahead and copy that and paste here. Copy and paste. And we're gonna do this. And so now that's a goat for us, right? We're gonna copy and paste a goat. So we know we're that awesome, right? So for every debt that we pay off, we're gonna be good because we're gonna have a goat. Actually, the goat is kind of small. Let me make it bigger. What size is this goat? To 16. We're gonna make it 16. All right, that's a big goat. All right. So now we paid off the credit card. Okay, so credit card. Now, which debts do we tackle? Well, we're going to use something called the cash flow index to help us figure that out. The cash flow index, right? So, cash flow index right here. And so, if you don't know what it is, just kind of Google it up. It's just a ranking system of how you can pay off debt and which one gives you more bang for your buck in terms of cash flow. And luckily, we have this loan calculator right here where I just kind of type in 34, 34, 34, and then it tells me the current loan balance. Oh my goodness. Now, some of you might be like, you know, we always have to figure, uh, attack the highest interest rate, which makes sense in this case, right? But usually you might have cases where, like, the interest rate is maybe 7% on the mortgage, right? And the thing about the mortgage, okay, is that even though we pay 7% on the mortgage, we still probably want to attack the auto loan first. And now, why is that? Is because it's got this lowest CFI, lowest cash flow index. What does that mean? Is that when I pay off this debt, I get more bang for my buck in terms of cash flow. Like this, I only pay 11 grand to get $483 in my cash flow. I only paid 22 grand. I'm sorry. I paid 22 grand to get 318. So which one gives more bang for my buck? The 11 grand for 43 or 22 for 318? I'm going to take the 11 grand. Therefore, I'm going to pay off the auto loan first. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. So I'm going to do this, pay off the auto loan, and let's see how long it takes for us to pay off that auto loan, right? So we're gonna do this, copy and paste. Whoopsie, I screwed up. Whoa, I already created a sheet without, whoopsie, I'm screwing up here, screwing up, screwing up, screwing up. Okay, so now I'm gonna copy and paste this, control paste. Whoopsie, dang, I'm so bad at this. All right. So now that's 11 grand auto loan plus 11756.29. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go here and I'm going to just type in 0 in this auto loan right here. And then now our cash flow is $5,972.14. Let's go ahead and use that to pay off our auto loan. All right. All righty then. All right. So now I'm going to just do this. And then we're going to copy and paste. And now our cash flow is going to be 5972.14. And look at that. Well, blam. All right. Let me put a 0 here. So I guess the interest would be this for the line of credit. So let me go ahead and copy and paste. Or actually, let me just see if I could sum this up. And then up to here. So H36 to H38. 36, yeah, to H38. All right, so let's go ahead and, whoopsie. Not 336, my bad. All right, so 133. So 133, okay. Let's see. I screwed up. I'm screwing up again. Undo, where's the redo button? Okay, so it took us how many months? 1, 2, 3. So at 36, whoa, that was too quick. 36 months, okay, to pay it off. 36 months to pay it off. So let me get that. 36 months. But here's the other thing. This is the interest of the line of credit, but we also have to remember the interest we paid on the loan so far. And luckily, the loan calculator has that, okay? So what we do here is we go here, paste values, and then what we do is we do J2 plus K2, okay? And so the total interest that we paid is about 3.3 grand. All right, let's go ahead and do this here. So 3.36 months and then 3.3K of interest. And then let me go ahead and copy and paste that. And I'm going to do this and auto, auto loan, and actually let me reverse this. All right, so and it's actually 2 months really to pay off the auto loan. And let me put a goat here. All right, so now we're at 36 months, right? So let's go ahead and update the loan calculator. So 36, and then this is 0 for now. Now, when we're dealing with a lower interest rate loan, 5%, 4%, and we're dealing with the 8% line of credit, we probably don't want to replace the whole thing with the line of credit. And this is especially true with the mortgage. Look at this CFI, right? The CFI, if it's really big, over 100, and take a look here, a high number over 100 means the loan is efficient, meaning you borrowed a lot and you don't actually have to pay that pay that much pay that much in payment compared to the loan, right? So when you replace the whole thing with a line of credit, it's actually not in your best interest. And I'm going to demonstrate that. So we're going to do something called chunking. So all chunking is that you're just moving the piece of the loan into a line of credit. And then usually you just kind of take an amount, let's say comparable to your salary, or maybe even a little bit less, dump all your money in, take your expenses out, do the same thing over and over again. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I will, let me see if I got this correct. 36 months, 36 months. Now I will show off the velocity banking calculator again. And if you don't know where this is from Renatus. This is where I originally learned velocity banking from. So if you're interested in not only learning about velocity banking, but other things related to financial literacy and real estate investing, click the Google form link below. And full disclosure, I make money. I get commission. All right, so let's go ahead and do this and type in the information. So we're going to start with the student loan. So the student loan is $30,000, 30000, usually 10 years. And what's the interest rate here? 5%. Okay, 5%, and then 318.2. Okay, so 318.2, 5%, and the current balance is 22512.99. 22512.59? 99. Okay. It's not going to make that much of a difference, but let's be accurate as possible. And then let's put in the income and the expenses. So what's our income? Our income is pretty bigly. It's pretty huge, right? So let me go here. $11,200. So 1111 okay, and what's our expenses? Everything except for the loan we're trying to pay off. So it would just be these two right here. And I'm going to do this. So 4909.66. So I'm going to put that right there, 4909.66. And then we'll just do a small $12,000 chunks. And oh my goodness, we paid this off in 3 months, or 0.3 years. I'm sorry. So 0.3 years. Would that be 12? I'm not 12. 4 months? 0.3. Okay, so let's go ahead and write that down. So this is going to be 36 plus 0.3 times 12, and that's going to be about, we'll say 40 months. So student loan, and let me copy and paste this. Okay, so the student took us in total in our journey, right? It didn't take us 40 months. It's 40 months into the journey. Now we got to calculate the interest, okay? So how much interest did we end up paying? Well, if we take a look here, $206. Maybe we say 210 to make it easier. Or yeah, 210. I can even say 300 and we should be fine. So what we're going to do is just add 210 here, and then the total interest is about 4.1 grand, or just 4.2, make it easy. Or yeah, 4.2, we'll make it easy. We'll round up. 4.2k of interest, okay? And then the last one is the mortgage, okay? So we just do the same thing. So what we do is we put let me put another goat here. 40 months, right? 40 months into our loan, what's the balance? And then we just rinse and repeat again. We just put in the velocity banking calculator. So I'm just going to do this over again. And then this is going to be 4%, 30 years. What's the payment out? 1909.66. Okay. And then what's the living expenses? The living expenses is everything except for the loan we're trying to pay off, which is not this one. It is $3,000. Okay. So $3,000. And let's go ahead and do this with the original balance. So, what's the original balance? It is, let's go here, 400,000. Yeah, 400,000. And then the balance here is 375,383.17. So 375,383.17. Bam, 4.2 years. Okay. So 4.2 years and 33.7 grand of interest. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to go, not this one. All right. So the mortgage is 40 divided by 12 plus 4.2. And that's going to be how much in total? 7.53 years. Okay, so 7.53 years to be debt free, including our mortgage. And how much interest will we have paid? So we'll say 33.7 grand. Okay, so let's just do this 33,700. And what's the total amount? We'll say, yeah, we'll say 85.5. We'll round up. All right, so now let's just do this 85.5K throughout the life of the loan. Okay, so now drum roll, please, right? So, first lien HELOC, okay, we paid 200. How much in interest? Let's calculate the interest that we paid for the. Well, we already calculated. So $242,000 of interest, right? And then here we're going to calculate the total interest. Let's just do this. Total interest, which is 19.5 plus 3.3 plus 4.2 plus 85.5, 112, let's say 113K of interest. Okay. So I don't know about you, but would you rather prefer to pay $242,000 of interest? Okay. And I could just copy it, right? 242K. Hold on. 242K of interest. And then what we also have to calculate is the total time. So the total time, or just do a comparison, is 7.53. Oh, man. Oh, man. 7.53 years. 7.53 years. All right. So now 106 months. How much is 106 divided by 12? 8.83 years. Oh my goodness. 8.83 years. So why does a second lien HELOC win? Well, because you pay, and I'll put the difference here. Difference 242 minus 113. You pay 129K more in the first lien HELOC. And in terms of time, it's 8.8 minus 7.5. You pay in terms 1.3 years more, right? So if you did this, and let me put an ultimate goat, you would win out. And you didn't need to get a huge HELOC. So why would you do this if you're going to literally pay more than double? 129K more. I mean, the time frame is, a little bit more, not that much more. And here's the reason. Okay, here's the only reason that I would pay off debt if it literally took me a little bit more. Is I would do this 8.83 years if I found that I was going to pay less interest in 113K. But you're literally paying more than double than what you do if you just use the second lien HELOC, right? Second lien HELOC. And I know you're all interested in this because the video analytics tells me so. Okay. The video analytics. In fact, I'm just curious where y'all coming from if the Google Analytics will tells me, the Googles, California, Florida, and Texas. I love it. It's pretty much the same every single video. These are the top 3 states, and then New York, and then little Georgia right here. People in Georgia don't love me. All right, no worries. I'm just kidding. So, yes, $113,000 of interest. Okay. So, what do you think? Right? Here's the other thing. Let's say we used a 30% credit card for this. So, 30%, that's only 41 grand. I mean, we wouldn't want to use it, but if that was your only tool, okay, 8%, 33 grand, 30%, 41 grand. But let's say I use an 8% first lien HELOC. This is where the drama comes in. 75 grand. Okay? So it's the savings is not as great. And you can kind of see it and you see the calculations are pretty accurate. Maybe because everything's done on the daily, like, you're not going to be super accurate, but we're close enough. Okay? We're close enough. And so that is why I kind of look at the first lien HELOC and I cringe a little bit because it's like, why are you paying double more than you have to? Okay? Why are you doing that? Makes no sense. All right, so now that's it for today. But before I go, again, I know some of you might be confused because I'm talking about the goats a lot. But why am I talking about the goat? Because we are the greatest of all time. And I remember ChatGPT says you are the goat of debt payoff. Because here's my time to flex. I paid off my mortgage literally in 2 years and 9 months. So some of you are like, "What's your credentials?" I got none other than cool screenshots that I may have possibly doctored so I can get a little bit of ad revenue and, you know, just pretend that I'm one of those, fake gurus or influencers, or maybe this is real. I don't know. But yeah, that's why we call ourselves the greatest of all time. And again, I have a first lien HELOC, so I know what I'm talking about. 280,000, my mortgage is paid off, so I just got a home equity line of credit, wablam. Okay. So I know what I'm talking about, and this is how I felt. It was like putting on that infinity gauntlet when you had that first lien HELOC, but you got to do it right, right? So it's not just about the weapon; it's about the strategy itself. Velocity banking is an implementation strategy. It's not just about having a line of credit because there are people out there who email me and they have maxed out home equity lines of credit, right? Or a personal line of credit. It's like the velocity banking is not just about the line of credit or replacing your lines with loans. It's about paying off your debt quickly with the help of a line of credit. Okay. Well, that's it for today, folks. This is Korean Atlanta Mentorship. Have a good night and a great day, and I'll see you on the next video.